One wrong click, one moment of distraction. That's all it took to turn routine streaming into the 6 most horrific deaths ever broadcast live to thousands of unsuspecting viewers. What started as entertainment became nightmare fuel, as real people paid the ultimate price for digital fame. It was August 7, 2018, when 22-year-old Haley Prescott made the decision that would end her life in the crumbling ruins of Detroit's abandoned Packard automotive plant. Haley had always been drawn to danger. Standing 5 feet 6 inches with an athletic build from rock climbing, she possessed a fearless spirit that made her parents lose sleep. After dropping out of Wayne State's communications program, she worked part-time at a vintage store in Corktown. But her real passion was urban exploration. Her YouTube channel, Urban Haley, had 5,000 subscribers who watched her navigate abandoned buildings across the Midwest. Her personality mixed thrill-seeking bravado with genuine curiosity about forgotten places. 3 weeks before that fateful night, she had slipped on wet concrete during exploration, telling her roommate it could have been worse. The close call should have been a warning, but for Haley, it only added excitement. The Packard plant represented the ultimate challenge. Recent arrests of other explorers made it notorious, which meant successfully streaming from there would generate significant views and donations from her primarily teenage male audience. She arrived at 11:47 p.m. in steady rain, wearing worn hiking boots. The 4.2 pounds of streaming equipment strapped to her chest affected her balance. Her live stream began with 1,247 viewers as she entered the structurally compromised building. The chat exploded with excitement and donations, encouraging increasingly dangerous stunts. For 23 minutes, she explored lower floors, her headlamp cutting through darkness as she narrated the building's automotive history. The rain had intensified, creating treacherous conditions above. At 12:15 a.m., she reached the 4th floor, where decades of neglect had created gaps in the flooring and exposed twisted rebar. Water dripped through roof holes, making every surface slick. Chat members, emboldened by anonymity, demanded she climb higher, backing requests with donations that pinged through her phone. At 12:31 a.m., Haley faced a 3-foot gap with a 40-foot drop to machinery below. Viewers had donated over $60 in 5 minutes, all requesting she make the jump. She backed up, took a running start, and leaped. Her worn boot treads, compromised by wet concrete, failed to find purchase on the landing. She desperately reached for rebar before gravity claimed her. The fall lasted 2.3 seconds. She landed on industrial machinery, a metal beam penetrating her abdomen and causing massive internal bleeding. Her chest-mounted camera shattered, but her phone continued streaming audio. For 3 agonizing minutes, viewers heard her labored breathing fade to silence. Multiple viewers called 911, but the audio-only stream made it nearly impossible for emergency services to locate her. Emergency responders arrived at 1:15 a.m., beginning systematic search. 20 minutes later, they found Haley's body. She was pronounced dead from traumatic injuries and massive internal bleeding. She was just 22. The aftermath rippled through communities. Detroit police increased patrols at exploration sites, though budget constraints prevented comprehensive security. Haley's parents attempted starting a safety campaign, but struggled with limited resources. The streaming platform added basic location warnings, but stopped short of requiring equipment verification. Her death became a case study about viewer responsibility and the ethics of encouraging dangerous behavior through donations. Haley Prescott's story serves as a stark reminder that pursuing digital fame can exact the ultimate price, and that anonymous voices encouraging risk bear no responsibility for consequences. It was June 22, 2019, when 25-year-old Morgan Ellsworth made the decision that would end his life in the most violent way imaginable. The Phoenix mechanic had built his Speed Demon AZ channel to 8,000 subscribers by filming illegal street races in his modified Dodge Challenger, a beast pumping out 850 horsepower through modifications he'd installed at his uncle's auto shop. Morgan's impulsive personality and desperate need for validation had nearly killed him 2 months earlier when he spun out at high speed, later joking to followers about his guardian angel working overtime. But that close call only fed his addiction to cheating death while thousands watched online. His competitive nature demanded more extreme content, more dangerous speeds, more heart-stopping moments that translated into donations and subscriber growth. The plan was simple yet insane. Celebrate hitting 10,000 subscribers by breaking 200 miles per hour on Interstate 10. Morgan had scouted a 15-mile stretch known for minimal late-night traffic and limited police presence. What he hadn't accounted for was construction work that would turn his highway into a death trap. At 2:17 a.m., Morgan went live after consuming 3 energy drinks and unprescribed Adderall, a cocktail that sharpened his focus while destroying his judgment. His 1,156 viewers flooded chat with encouragement and donations, each ping pushing him toward higher speeds. The stimulants made every sensation more intense while impairing his ability to process warning signs. After building anticipation from a gas station, Morgan entered the highway at 2:31 a.m., his dashboard camera capturing every moment as he accelerated through gears. At 2:44 a.m., he activated nitrous, and the Challenger launched forward like a rocket, reaching 167 miles per hour, while Morgan provided live commentary about engine temperatures and boost pressure. Construction barriers appeared at 2:47 a.m., with advance warning signs that Morgan's stimulant-addled brain failed to process. His tunnel vision, focused on the speedometer and chat messages, prevented him from recognizing the lane closure until too late. Traveling at 145 miles per hour, he attempted to brake and change lanes simultaneously, sending his rear wheels into catastrophic loss of traction. The Challenger spun violently before striking the concrete barrier at 89 miles per hour. The dashboard camera captured 2.1 seconds of initial impact before being destroyed, while Morgan's phone flew from its mount and the stream cut to black. The roof collapsed during the collision, causing massive head trauma that killed Morgan instantly. Within 30 seconds, the vehicle erupted in flames, turning his modified masterpiece into a twisted metal coffin. Emergency responders arrived at 2:54 a.m., but couldn't approach until the fire was extinguished. They found Morgan's body with fatal head injuries. The young mechanic's need for speed was finally satisfied permanently. Arizona increased fines for street racing following the incident, but didn't implement vehicle seizure laws that might have prevented similar tragedies. Morgan's family filed a lawsuit against the streaming platform, but it was dismissed under Section 230 protections. His uncle's auto shop faced investigation, but received only minor citations, as proving illegal modifications proved difficult after the crash destroyed evidence. No federal legislation emerged, though some platforms added speed-related content warnings after negative media coverage. The temporary media attention about dangerous streaming content faded quickly, and viewer behavior remained unchanged. Morgan Ellsworth had achieved his goal of internet fame, but at the ultimate cost. His final race ended not with celebration, but with a young man's life extinguished in flames on a Phoenix highway. Another cautionary tale lost in the endless scroll of online content. It was September 14, 2016, when the granite walls of Yosemite National Park claimed another life in the most preventable way imaginable. Autumn Chandler was 26 years old, a perfectionist by nature who channeled her obsessive attention to detail into 2 passions: freelance graphic design and extreme solo hiking. Her lean, muscular frame told the story of countless hours spent scaling California's most challenging peaks. What started as weekend adventures had evolved into something bigger. Her YouTube channel, Autumn Adventures, had attracted 12,000 subscribers who lived vicariously through her death-defying climbs. But Autumn carried a secret that gnawed at her confidence. 5 weeks earlier, a handhold had crumbled beneath her grip during a practice climb, sending her tumbling 15 feet onto unforgiving rock. The bruised ribs had healed, but the psychological scars ran deeper. She needed to prove to herself and her audience that she hadn't lost her edge. For 6 months, she had meticulously planned this climb, a 5.10D difficulty route on El Capitan that would push her technical skills to their limits. She obtained all proper permits and studied every inch of the granite face. The only questionable decision was her plan to live-stream the entire ascent, despite park guidelines discouraging live broadcasting during technical climbs. At 5:47 a.m., Autumn began her approach with 23 pounds of essential climbing gear, plus an additional 2.1 pounds of streaming equipment. The extra weight seemed negligible, but every ounce mattered on a route this demanding. The stream went live at 6:23 a.m., with 847 viewers watching her methodical progress up the granite wall. For the first 180 feet, everything proceeded flawlessly. Autumn's technique was textbook perfect, each movement calculated and precise. At 7:41 a.m., she reached the technical section where holds became smaller and required absolute concentration. This was where climbers separated themselves from tourists. But instead of focusing entirely on the rock, Autumn found herself glancing at her phone screen, reading chat messages from experienced climbers offering real-time route advice. At 7:52 a.m., while processing a viewer's suggestion about hand placement, she committed her weight to what appeared to be a solid granite hold. The rock looked trustworthy, but appearances deceived. A hairline fracture from years of natural weathering had compromised its integrity. The hold exploded away from the wall. Autumn plummeted 25 feet before her safety rope caught her, but momentum swung her body into the granite face like a pendulum. Her helmet absorbed most of the impact but cracked from the force, leaving her with a severe concussion that clouded her judgment at the worst possible moment. Disoriented and struggling to think clearly, Autumn made the fatal decision to continue her descent rather than wait for rescue. Her concussed brain couldn't process the complex rope work required for safe rappelling. When she incorrectly clipped her rope at 8:17 a.m., physics took over. She fell an additional 40 feet onto a narrow ledge, her spine absorbing the full impact. The internal bleeding began immediately. Park rangers reached her location 3 hours later using specialized technical rescue equipment, but Autumn had died within minutes of hitting the ledge. The spinal cord injury and massive internal trauma were unsurvivable. The climbing community wrestled with the implications. Forums and magazines dissected every detail of the accident, leading some climbing groups to voluntarily adopt no streaming policies during difficult ascents. Yosemite added stronger warnings about filming during technical climbs, but stopped short of outright bans, citing enforcement difficulties. Autumn's family received a modest settlement from her equipment manufacturer for a minor harness defect, though investigators determined it played no role in her death. The real culprit was distraction, at a moment when complete focus meant the difference between life and death. Her death became a cautionary tale about the hidden dangers of performing for an audience when the stakes couldn't be higher. But like so many tragedies before it, the lessons learned faded as quickly as the headlines, and the granite walls of Yosemite continued their patient wait for the next climber who would confuse confidence with invincibility. It was January 8, 2018, when Riley Thatcher made her final live stream from the frozen shores of Emerald Bay at Lake Tahoe, California. Riley, a 24-year-old snowboard instructor with an insatiable appetite for danger, had built her Riley Honest channel around increasingly reckless winter stunts across the Sierra Nevada mountains. Her 8,000 subscribers craved the adrenaline-fueled content she delivered, and Riley fed off their validation like an addiction. Standing 5'6" with sun-bleached hair and calloused hands from years on the slopes, she possessed the kind of fearless confidence that made her both magnetic and reckless. The previous winter had served as a warning she chose to ignore. After falling through thin ice on a mountain lake, friends had pulled her from the frigid water while she laughed off hypothermia symptoms, joking that she was too cool to drown. That near-death experience should have been her wake-up call, but instead became another story to tell her growing audience. On this particular afternoon, an unusual 10-day cold snap had formed a deceptively thin ice sheet, across a 50-foot section of Emerald Bay. Posted warnings about unstable conditions dotted the shoreline, but Riley saw only opportunity. Her 1,156 live viewers were already encouraging the dangerous crossing through donations and chat messages, many requesting she venture further onto the questionable ice for better content. At 2:14 p.m., with temperatures hovering at 22 degrees Fahrenheit, Riley began her walk across ice measuring only 1 to 2 inches thick in most areas, far below the minimum 4 inches needed for safe passage. Her heavy winter jacket and snow pants would soon become her enemy. But in that moment, she felt invincible. The first 17 minutes passed without incident, as Riley bantered with her audience, their donations and dares pushing her forward. At 2:31 p.m., approximately 30 feet from shore, ominous cracking sounds echoed beneath her boots. Chat members erupted with excitement, urging her onward despite the obvious danger. 3 minutes later, at 2:34 p.m., the inevitable happened. Riley stepped onto a section weakened by wave action underneath, and the ice gave way instantly. She plunged into 38 degrees Fahrenheit water that measured 12 feet deep at that location, her phone disappearing beneath the surface within 15 seconds, abruptly ending the stream. The shock of cold water triggered involuntary gasping as her heavy clothing became waterlogged anchors. Riley struggled desperately for approximately 2 minutes, but hypothermia worked with ruthless efficiency. Her movements became increasingly sluggish as her core temperature plummeted, and she eventually slipped beneath the surface, drowning in the dark waters of Lake Tahoe. Multiple viewers had called 911, but emergency responders arrived 18 minutes too late. Dangerous ice conditions and search difficulties prevented immediate recovery efforts, and Riley's body wasn't found until the following morning. The coroner's report confirmed death by drowning with hypothermia as a contributing factor, noting that the water temperature caused rapid loss of motor function. Lake Tahoe authorities responded by posting additional winter safety signs and increasing patrol frequency. Though budget constraints prevented major policy changes, Riley's devastated family attempted to channel their grief into a cold water safety awareness campaign, but lacked resources to establish a formal foundation. Their lawsuit against the streaming platform proved unsuccessful, leaving them with only memories and unanswered questions about social media's role in their daughter's death. The tragedy generated brief local media coverage about ice safety and social media risks, but failed to create lasting change in streaming platform policies or user behavior. Riley's channel remains frozen in time, a digital monument to the deadly intersection of thrill-seeking and online validation, where the pursuit of content ultimately cost everything. It was May 4th, 2015, when 29-year-old Kendra Vaughn made the decision that would end her promising career as both a meteorology graduate student and rising storm-chasing content creator. The ambitious young woman from Norman, Oklahoma, had built her Storm Hunter KV YouTube channel to 7,000 dedicated subscribers who followed her increasingly daring pursuits across Tornado Alley. Kendra possessed an analytical mind, shaped by years of atmospheric science coursework, but her academic knowledge had bred dangerous overconfidence in her ability to predict storm behavior. Unlike veteran chasers who respected severe weather's unpredictable nature, she relied heavily on textbook theories, often dismissing experienced field researchers' hard-earned wisdom. Her personality combined scientific curiosity with adrenaline seeking that pushed boundaries others wouldn't cross. 2 months earlier, a severe hailstorm had battered her reinforced chase vehicle, leaving spiderweb cracks across the windshield and dents covering the hood. Rather than viewing this as a warning, Kendra dismissed the incident as an occupational hazard, already planning closer approaches for more dramatic footage. On that fateful Monday afternoon, meteorological conditions were aligning for a significant tornado outbreak near Moore, Oklahoma. Kendra had been tracking an EF3 tornado for over an hour, positioning herself at what she calculated to be a safe 1.2 miles from the storm's projected path. Her academic training told her this distance provided an adequate safety margin, but she failed to account for chaotic tornado movement patterns. At 4:23 p.m., she began her live stream from inside her vehicle, providing detailed meteorological commentary to 2,847 viewers while maintaining visual contact with the massive funnel cloud. Her audience was captivated by scientific explanations mixed with raw power unfolding before their screens. Donation notifications flooded her chat as viewers requested closer footage, offering money for increasingly dramatic shots. The tornado appeared to follow its predicted northeastern track, when suddenly, at 4:41 p.m., local wind patterns caused an unexpected directional shift. The massive vortex began moving directly toward Kendra's position, at speeds exceeding her vehicle's escape capability. Her meteorological training had prepared her for many scenarios, but not for split-second decision-making when theory met deadly reality. Panic set in as she attempted emergency relocation, but her escape route was blocked by debris and other storm chasers positioned along the same road. The tornado's outer circulation, with winds exceeding 120 miles per hour, reached her vehicle before she could find an alternate path. Her reinforced chase car, designed to withstand hail and moderate winds, was no match for the tornado's incredible force. The vehicle was lifted and rolled multiple times like a toy, tumbling through the air before being thrown approximately 80 feet into a concrete culvert. The impact crushed the roof completely, causing massive head trauma that rendered Kendra unconscious immediately. Her streaming equipment was destroyed in the first rollover, cutting the live feed thousands had been watching in horror. Emergency responders reached the crash site 35 minutes after the tornado passed, but Kendra had already succumbed to her injuries within minutes of impact. The traumatic brain injury caused by the vehicle's violent collision with the culvert proved instantly fatal. The National Weather Service later used Kendra's case to emphasize storm-chasing safety protocols, though no new regulations were implemented. More updated emergency response procedures, but practical concerns prevented restrictions on storm chaser access to dangerous areas. Her streaming platform added basic severe weather warnings to meteorological content, but technical complexity prevented automatic termination features during dangerous situations. The meteorological community discussed her death extensively, leading some to voluntarily adopt stricter safety distances, though no major behavioral changes occurred. Kendra Vaughn's final chase served as a sobering reminder that academic knowledge cannot replace respect for nature's unpredictable power. It was March 15, 2017, when Crystal Bowers made the decision that would end her life in the most horrific way imaginable. Crystal was a 28-year-old data entry clerk working nights in Riverside, California. At 5 feet 4 inches and 320 pounds, she lived alone in a studio apartment where her kitchen table doubled as her streaming setup. Her bubbly personality made her popular among 5,000 regular viewers, but beneath lay deep insecurities from years of workplace bullying about her weight. Food had become both Crystal's comfort and curse. She discovered mukbang streaming 2 years earlier, finding it provided income and social connection she craved. Her viewers became her world, encouraging increasingly dangerous eating challenges. 2 weeks prior, Crystal nearly choked on Korean fried chicken during a live stream. Her face turned red as she struggled, but viewers thought it was entertainment, flooding chat with laughing emojis. She coughed it up, but the incident should have been a warning. Instead, Crystal saw opportunity. She announced a celebration stream for reaching 6,000 followers, promising to devour 4 pounds of grilled samgyeopsal in under 25 minutes. For 2 days, she barely ate, wanting to maximize her appetite. On Tuesday evening, Crystal positioned herself at her kitchen table, a large bowl overflowing with thick-cut grilled pork belly strips dominating the frame. At 7:23 p.m., she went live to 1,847 viewers, her largest audience ever. The chat exploded with excitement. Viewers urged her to eat faster, and donations poured in, demanding speed. Crystal, desperate to please, abandoned her usual measured pace, grabbing larger pieces with chopsticks, barely chewing before swallowing. At 7:34 p.m., disaster struck. Crystal grabbed an exceptionally thick piece of samgyeopsal, approximately 4 inches long and 2 inches wide. After only 2 quick chews, she swallowed the warm, fatty meat. The large piece lodged completely in her trachea, the grease making it impossible to dislodge while blocking her airway entirely. The chat initially erupted with laughter, thinking this was comedy, but as Crystal's face turned from red to deep purple, some realized something was wrong. Crystal frantically attempted the Heimlich maneuver on herself, stumbling around her space, knocking over the bowl. The viewer count climbed to 2,200 as word spread. Some viewers called 911 while others continued making jokes, unable to comprehend the reality unfolding. At 7:36 p.m., Crystal collapsed face first onto her kitchen floor. Her body convulsed as her brain was starved of oxygen. The stream continued broadcasting until her phone battery died. Emergency responders arrived at 7:52 p.m., but Crystal had been dead for 12 minutes. The coroner confirmed death by asphyxiation, with the pork belly still lodged in her trachea. The aftermath was swift and brutal. Despite takedown efforts, Crystal's final stream spread across social media, becoming a viral cautionary tale. Her death exposed the dark reality of content creation, where creators push dangerous boundaries for viewer engagement. A grim reminder of how pursuing viral fame can have deadly consequences. If these tragic streams left you shaken, brace yourself for what's next. Click the video on your screen for more shocking stories of content creators who paid the ultimate price for digital fame.